In this video, we're going to start a series of 3 videos where we're going to join together to create a custom tag library. And so the first video here, we're going to spend looking at how we would create the tag library definition file. So for these videos, we'll need the World Manager custom tag library.war file. So go ahead and get that loaded into your system, which will contain all the code for the next few videos. So once you have that up and running, the file that we're going to be looking at today is our tag library definition file, which is World Manager tags, and it lives in the web.inf folder. If you close that down, you can see it's not there. So it's right there under the web.xml. So we'll go ahead and open this up and expand it. So we can see our simple tag library definition file. Now, as we discussed, the very first line will contain an XML declaration, and then we have a tag library, which contains a version. Here we're using 2.0, the markup language namespace there, the XML NS XSI, which is a schema instance, and the schema location. Now all that stuff should be the same, so you shouldn't have to change that for any tag library definition file that you create. The next part is our version. So here once again we're going to use tag library version 2.0, which matches in this case our instance of JSP 2.0. And then what's most important for naming our tags is how we're going to reference them. Of course, that's our URI. So again here we're using World Manager tags. Now what we would see in the core library, of course, this is where they have their named HTTP namespace. So you could name this whatever you want. The name is irrelevant. It just simply needs to match. Just like when we named our variables for servlet and servlet mapping way back when in the web.xml file. Here's the same thing. When we create this URI, this is our namespace, which is used to be referenced directly on the JSP page. And we'll see that when we actually start using these tags in a later session. So what I've done is set up 2 tags here for us to use in our system. So each one has its own tag wrapper, and each one has its own properties. The first one has an attribute, and the second one doesn't. So let's take a look at the second one first. Since there's no attribute, we can see it very easily. It's just a description. It's going to tell us that it's the navigation bar, and the name of the tag is Navigator. Now once again, this is going to be very important because once we prefix our tags, we'll use this Navigator to reference our tag. So if we prefix our tag with WM, we'll put WM:navigator, and that will run this tag. What's also important then is that the tag class maps to a class that we've written, and we'll look at the classes in the next session. So for right now, we can just trust that Navigator class will be in place when we go to use this code. And for the body content, we're going to go ahead and use scriptless. We're going to be able to put expressions or other HTML inside of the body of the Navigator tag. And that will be very important since we're going to be iterating over a bunch of different link objects. The other tag I've created here is a city iterator. So this is just another way that we can see some data being iterated and we can create a tag. Now, of course, we're doing this previously in a C for each. So the relevance of using this is not exactly that popular. We already had a way to do this, but what we're doing is actually creating another way to do it now with a tag. And this tag could be reused across multiple pages very easily, but you'll see it's not that much different than what we did with the C for each when we actually go to implement it anyway. But it gives us another chance to look at a tag and actually pass in an attribute and see how that all works together. That way we'll know if we need to create another custom tag, we'll have this to reference. So the description is going to be city iteration. The name, of course, is the important part. It's going to be city iterator. So we would say WM:city iterator, and that would put the tag in place. The class for this one is going to be city iterator, and it's going to be scriptless once again. And we'll have one attribute. So the attribute is going to be city list, and we can pass that in because it's going to allow for the RT expression values to be true. We can pass an expression into it, not just a plain old string, which is going to be very important since we're creating an array list of cities that will actually pull from our database, pass into this tag, and then display it on the page. And of course, we want it to be required because the user needs to tell us what the city list is, and if they don't tell us the city list, there's nothing for us to iterate, and our code will bomb out. So that's all there is to creating the tag library definition file. Once again, once we have that created, we simply place it in the web.inf folder underneath our web content. The World Manager tags.tld can be named whatever we want, name it something useful. It might be a good idea to match the URI or match something similar to that so you just have a very easy way to know what's what.